Well, I mean, you've identified the problem. The problem is you don't make enough money. And
Right.
the way you solve the problem, no kidding, Dave, is you make more money.
Saving money in 2024? It's a big deal. With everything getting more expensive and money worries all around, saving up to $12,000 quickly is something many of us need to do. That is where Dave Ramsey comes in. He knows how to save money quickly. This video does not just give you a few tips, it goes into great detail about Dave Ramsey's best ways to save $12,000 faster than you thought possible. We'll cover everything from smart budgeting to knocking out debt. So let's get straight into it. Tip number 1 is Dave Ramsey's budgeting method.
Every dollar has a mission. Every dollar has a name. Not sort of kind of in my head. Not it's on my iPhone app. Write it down on paper, on purpose before the month begins. Every dollar has a name. And if you're married, you agree on that with your spouse.
Adopting Dave Ramsey's zero-based budget method is the first thing we need to do to save $12,000 quickly in 2024. Ramsey, who is very good at managing money, says, "A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went." This approach is about taking control of every dollar. So, what is a zero-based budget? It's a method where your income minus your expenses equals zero. This means you assign every dollar of your income to a job, be it for spending, saving, or investing. By doing this, you eliminate wasteful spending and maximize your saving potential. Start by listing your monthly income. Next, list all of your expenses, including bills, groceries, and even those small luxuries. Allocate every dollar of your income to these categories. If there's anything left, direct it towards your $12,000 saving goal. This method requires discipline and honesty with yourself. It's not just about tracking. It's about making intentional decisions with your money. Remember, every dollar you prevent from slipping through the cracks is a dollar that gets you closer to your $12,000 target. Tip number 2, the Debt Snowball Method for managing your debts.
The second one is you got to get out of debt and stay out of debt.
Moving on to the second most important step in our mission to save $12,000 fast in 2024, let's jump right into Dave Ramsey's famous Debt Snowball Method. Ramsey often emphasizes the only way to get out of debt is to get mad at it and attack it with a vengeance. This method is all about doing something about your decision. The Debt Snowball Method is a strategy for paying off debt in a way that creates momentum and motivation. Here's how it works. First, list all of your debts from the smallest to the largest amount, regardless of interest rates. Your focus is to pay off the smallest debt first while making minimum payments on the others. Once the smallest debt is paid off, you take the money you were paying on that debt and apply it to the next smallest, creating a snowball effect as you tackle each debt. Why does this method work? It's about quick wins. Paying off the small debt first gives you a sense of accomplishment and motivates you to keep going. It's a psychological boost that keeps you engaged in your debt repayment journey. The really cool thing is that as you pay off your debts, you have more money to save. Each debt paid off is one less monthly payment, meaning more of your income can go straight into your savings. It's a double victory, reducing debt and increasing savings. Let's put this into perspective with some numbers. Say you have a credit card debt of $2,000, a car loan of $5,000, and a student loan of $10,000. By focusing on paying off the $2,000 first, you not only get a quick win, but also free up more money to tackle the $5,000 car loan later. This methodical approach can significantly accelerate your journey to being debt-free and boosting your savings. So, consider your own debts. Are they holding back your ability to save? How can implementing the Debt Snowball Method help you clear the path towards $12,000 faster in 2024? Remember, each step you take towards reducing debt is a step closer to your financial freedom. Tip number 3, cut down unnecessary expenses. A study in 2024 revealed that the average American spends nearly 30% of their income on non-essential items. Dave Ramsey often says, you must gain control over your money, or the lack of it will forever control you. This step is all about taking that control back. First, identify what counts as unnecessary. These are expenses that you can live without. Think of daily coffee shop visits, frequently dining out, expensive cable packages, or impulse buys. It's the little things that often add up to a significant amount. Now, let's get practical. Start by reviewing your bank statements and categorizing your spending. You might be surprised to see how much you're spending on things like takeout food or online shopping. Once you've identified these areas, set a goal to reduce these expenses. For example, if you're spending $200 a month on coffee, consider cutting back to $50 by making coffee at home. Another practical tip is to adopt the 30-day rule for larger purchases. I recommend waiting 30 days before buying something that is not necessary. Most of the time, the desire to buy will go away, and you will realize that you do not need that thing after all. Don't forget to look for alternatives. Instead of a gym membership, try free workout videos online. Swap out cable TV for a more affordable streaming service. Cook at home more often instead of eating out. These small changes can lead to big savings. By cutting out these unnecessary expenses, you can redirect that money into your savings. Cutting your spending on things that are not necessary by $200 a month can add up to $2,400 a year, which is a big chunk of your $12,000 goal. So, take a hard look at your spending habits. Where can you cut back? What unnecessary expenses can you eliminate or reduce? Always keep in mind that every dollar you save on unnecessary spending brings you $1 closer to your goal of saving $12,000. Tip number 4, boosting your income. Tip number 4 in our journey to save $12,000 fast in 2024 is about boosting your income. Dave Ramsey often emphasizes, you've got to tell your money what to do or it will leave. One effective way to tell your money what to do is by increasing the amount you have to command. This is where the extra job comes in handy. In today's gig economy, the opportunities to earn extra income are more abundant than ever. A recent survey revealed that nearly 40% of Americans now have a side hustle, with average earnings of around $8,000 annually. That's a significant boost to your savings goal. The key is to find a side hustle that aligns with your skills, interests, and schedule. It could be anything from freelance writing, graphic design, tutoring, or even driving for a rideshare service. The beauty of a side hustle is that it can be as flexible as you need it to be. Here's a practical tip. Start by dedicating just a few hours a week to your side hustle. Even if you earn an extra $200 per month, that adds up to $2,400 per year, bringing you closer to your $12,000 target. But remember, it's not just about earning more. It's about managing this additional income wisely. Put a big chunk of that money from your side job straight into your savings. This methodical approach guarantees that the extra work you put in will be rewarded with real financial growth. So, consider what skills or hobbies you have that could be monetized. How can you turn your free time into an opportunity to boost your income? Tip number 5, smart grocery shopping. Tip number 5 on how to save $12,000 quickly in 2024 is all about shopping for food in the smart way. Did you know that on average, Americans waste about 30 to 40% of their food? This not only impacts the environment, but also your wallet. The key to saving money on groceries is planning and being strategic about your purchases. Start with meal planning. Plan your meals for the week and make a grocery list based on what you plan. This approach helps avoid impulse buys and ensures you purchase only what you need. Also, take advantage of sales and bulk buying for non-perishable items. However, be cautious not to buy in bulk items that you won't use before they expire. Another tip is to explore generic brands. Often, these products are similar in quality to name brands, but at a fraction of the cost. Also, be mindful of the time you choose to shop. Shopping when you're hungry or in a rush can lead to unnecessary purchases. Consider using cashback apps or coupons to save more. These small savings can add up over time. And don't forget to regularly review your food expenses to identify areas where you can cut back further. By adopting these smart grocery shopping habits, you can significantly reduce your monthly food bill. Even saving $50 a week on groceries adds up to $2,600 in a year, a substantial contribution to your $12,000 savings goal. Tip number 6, building an emergency fund. Dave Ramsey strongly supports this idea. He often says, an emergency fund turns a crisis into an inconvenience. An emergency fund is money that is saved up to pay for things like medical emergencies, car repairs, or suddenly losing your job. Without this safety net, things that you cannot plan for could put you in debt and stop you from saving. Ramsey typically recommends starting with a $1,000 emergency fund and eventually building it to cover 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. A Federal Reserve study found that 40% of Americans would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 expense. This lack of preparedness can lead to high-interest debt or dipping into savings meant for other goals. By having an emergency fund, you protect yourself from these financial vulnerabilities. Now let's talk about how to build this fund. Start by setting a monthly savings goal for your emergency fund. It could be as little as $50 or $100, depending on your budget. The key is consistency. Consider opening a separate savings account specifically for this purpose to avoid the temptation to spend it. As we already talked about, cutting back on expenses that are not necessary can help you save more for an emergency fund. Additionally, any extra income from side hustles or overtime work can be directed towards this fund. Remember, the goal is to build this fund as quickly as possible without compromising your other financial obligations. Another practical tip is to automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your emergency fund right after payday. This out-of-sight, out-of-mind approach ensures that you consistently contribute to your fund without even having to think about it. Once you've reached your initial emergency fund goal of $1,000, don't stop there. Gradually work towards expanding it to cover several months of expenses. The larger fund will provide even greater financial security and peace of mind. All right, let's break down mathematically how you can realistically save $12,000 in 2024, step by step. Think of it as a friendly guide to boosting your savings, one achievable chunk at a time. First, let's tackle zero-based budgeting. Imagine you comb through your expenses and find a few ways to cut back, saving about $200 per month. That's not too hard, right? Just skipping a few takeouts or movie nights. Over a year, that's $200 times 12, which adds up to $2,400. A great start. Now, let's add the Debt Snowball Method to the mix. Say, by focusing on your smallest debts first, you manage to free up another $150 each month. That's $1,800 in a year. See how these small steps start to add up? Next up, reducing non-essential expenses. Maybe you cut back on those daily coffee runs or online shopping sprees, saving around $100 per month. That's another $1,200 over the year. Having a side job is where things get interesting. Let's say you start something small on the side and bring in an extra $300 per month. That's $3,600 a year just from a few hours of extra work each week. Don't forget about groceries. With some smart shopping and meal planning, you save $50 a month. That's $600 in a year and healthier eating to boot. Lastly, let's talk about your emergency fund. You start by saving up $1,000 for unexpected expenses. Once you've hit that goal, you redirect this savings towards your $12,000 target. So, where does all this leave us? By adding up these savings, $2,400 from budgeting, $1,800 from debt reduction, $1,200 from cutting back on extras, $3,600 from your side hustle, $600 from grocery savings, and $1,000 from your emergency fund, you're already at $10,600. You're so close. The remaining $1,400? Well, that's just about fine-tuning your strategy as you go along. Maybe you get a small raise, sell some items you don't need, or find more ways to cut back. See, saving $12,000 in a year might sound daunting at first, but when you break it down like this, it's totally doable. It's about making those small, consistent changes that really add up. So what do you think? Are you ready to give it a shot and watch your savings grow?
So we started applying these principles to our lives, and it changed our lives.